Hi, this is Shane with The Rational Trader, and this is the installation procedure tutorial for the machine learning system. We have 4 pieces to deal with here. This is a system overview. Okay, so starting from the middle, we have this Sierra chart component. This is the rounded blue rectangle. Inside the Sierra chart component, we have 2 things that we have to deal with for this installation. One is a custom study. The other is the chart books, which have the spreadsheet study that does the automated trading. And then on the left, there's a machine learning system, which we have to install, and it has 2 components you need to be aware of. Just from the standpoint of how the overall flow works, within Sierra chart, the custom study is collecting information as it comes in from the data feed. It sends that data to the machine learning server that's sitting on your computer. That server does a fair amount of work and sends back a prediction. That prediction, which we call an action, is captured by the custom study and given to the spreadsheet study that is in the chart book. Okay, that's on the chart. And then if there's something to do, it will place an order. All right. If you're trading live, then that order will go to the broker. All right. So for my broker is Infinity Futures, it goes to the broker. They have a bunch of computers that do a bunch of work, and then they'll send that order to the exchange, where a real order gets placed on the exchange computers. Okay. All of this happens very, very quickly. So it might seem like a lot to a human. It happens in milliseconds. Okay. What we're going to do here is focus on just the left-hand side of this diagram, because this is what we have to do for installation. All right. So there's 4 pieces. Okay. And we can look at it like this, starting from left to right. There's the machine learning server. You're going to install that once, and then periodically it'll need to be updated. Okay. And you'll be notified when that needs to be done. There are the machine learning models. These contain the input to the machine learning system to produce the prediction, and we update those weekly. So we have we train the machine learning system on the latest data that we have available. Okay, so every week a new set of models comes out. So this process here that you're going to learn, we're going to do weekly. The Sierra chart books, the blue rectangle, install once, and the same thing. Periodically, they'll need to be updated as I make some changes, and you'll be notified when that happens. And then the Sierra chart custom study is the 4th piece, and that automatically downloads. Once you're authorized, once you give me your username and I authorize you, then the next time that you log in to Sierra chart, the custom study will automatically download for you. All right, so let's go through the process now of getting all these pieces that we need and installing them on your computer. All right, so one of the things we have to do in order for the machine learning server to work is we have to make sure that it has some special libraries from Microsoft. Now, for many folks, this is already installed. It will have been installed when you did something like some other application, maybe Visual Studio or something like that. But a lot of folks don't have it. And so if you're finding that you start the server and it just shows you a screen and it immediately goes away, it's likely this problem. Or rather, if the server starts up like that, immediately fails, but doesn't create an error log file, then it's almost certainly this issue. So what we're going to do is go to this URL at Microsoft, and that link is either in the message that brought you here to this video, or it's in the description of the video on the YouTube channel. And what we're going to do is we're going to click download. All right, and what we want is, and the file we want here is x64. This is because this is for 64-bit versions of the operating system, for those of you that are interested in why. So we want to download that. So click that checkmark and then click next. I'm just walking through the installation procedure that is on the Microsoft website. You can see it downloaded there. And now that it's here, you can either show it in the folder, bring it up, and then that's an executable. So just double click it. It's going to give you this warning. and then we're just going to go through this process of installing it. Now, I have already installed it, so it's asking me what to do. All right, your choice will very likely be close or install. And you're going to want to click install, and then just walk through the prompts, and it will take you to a point where you want to go. I'm going to click repair and see what happens here. Let's see. Probably just does the same thing and reinstalls over it. I'm going to pause while we wait for it to finish. And mine says setup successful, and that was fairly simple. The one thing to be concerned about, since this is not the same procedure that you might go through, since I was repairing instead of installing. All right, so just to be safe, I went to a different computer and my test computer, and I uninstalled this thing that we're installing here. And then I went through the installation process again. And the only difference between what I just showed you and what you'll have to do is that it's going to ask you to agree to terms of service. So just check that box and then click the button, and in 20 seconds or so, it'll finish the install. And then you'll be ready to go. All right, so to do this, we need to download some files from the Rational Trader website. So let's go there, therationaltrader.com, and you'll need to sign in. Right, I'm already signed in, so we will go to the downloads section. This is in the members only the members only menu, and choose downloads. And that's going to take you to this page here. And you'll see that there's a bunch of directories: chart books, documents, miscellaneous, models. All right, and we're going to go into 3 of these directories to grab 3 of the pieces that we need. All right, so let's start at the top and work down. Chart books, we're going to go in here, and you're going to grab the latest file that's there. You'll notice that there's a date at the end of it, 2018-0316. That's March 16. All right, and we just want to click on that and download it, and it'll download to your download directory. It may give you a prompt on where you want to download it. Depends on your settings on your computer. Okay, so we've got chart books. Let's go back now, and we want to go to models. These are the machine learning models that are used to make predictions. This will update weekly, so there's actually a separate tutorial for that, but so there may be more than one file in here. Make sure you're getting the one with the latest date. Okay, this date here should be, or will almost always be, the most recent Friday. All right, so what it means is this model includes all of the data up to this date. Okay, so let's download that. These are a little bit bigger, a couple megabytes. And now we need to go get the server. All right, and click into here. This is bigger. Same thing. Get the one with the latest date. Again, this will update only periodically, not that often. It's fairly large, 49 megabytes. All right, so let's download that. And then while it's downloading, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the directory where these files have been downloaded, and then we're going to start placing them in the different places that they need to go in order for us to make use of them. All right, so I have opened up my downloads directory where it put these files. And what we want to do now is let's create a directory to unzip them in. They're zipped files, so we have to extract them. And then we're going to put them in various different places. All right, so we can just create a directory out here on the desktop. And I'm just going to call it working. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is just take these files from the download directory and just move them into here. All right. And now we don't need this directory up here anymore. Let's just get rid of it. And we don't need the browser anymore, so let me minimize that. Okay. So now I've got my working directory here, and I need to put these files in various places. All right. Now, when you're first installing, we need a place to put the server and the models. All right. So this is how I do it. I suggest you do it the same way. Let's just create a folder on the desktop, and I call it TRT for the Rational Trader, and then machine learning. Okay, it doesn't matter what you name it. It doesn't matter where you put it. All right, as long as you can find it again. Okay, so here's my TRT machine learning folder. And in fact, I like to have this right up here where I can easily get to it in the mornings to start up. All right, so I had a brief interruption there. Let's pick up where we left off. We have our machine learning folder here. This is the folder we created on the desktop where we're going to put our server and models. And then the downloads directory over here where we've downloaded our the files that we need. The first thing we're going to do is extract and install the server. So I'm using something called Stuffit Expander. It kind of depends on your operating system, how you unzip a zip file. A lot of times you just double click on it and it'll work. So I'm going to expand that here. And that's going to create two files, okay? One is this right here. It's this executable file, .exe. That's the server itself. And one is a log, a configuration file for how the server does some things like related to logging errors and other information. Okay, so both of these files we're going to take, and we're simply going to move them over to our machine learning folder, and you're done. Okay, this server is installed. Okay, at this point we no longer need this file we downloaded, so let's just get rid of it. It's just taking up space. And now let's get the models. Okay, the models are going to go in the same location. So same thing, extract them. And that will put a bunch of files into this folder. Okay, so now let's sort this a little bit differently so we can see them. There's 4 files per market. Okay, so I just highlighted the ES. All right. So if I copy the ES into here, now I'll be able to use the system to trade the ES. I'm going to copy the NASDAQ in here. All right, just move those files over. And there's one final file, very important. It's this config file here. It's got this funny extension .yaml. Same thing, just move it in here. Okay. Now at this point, we can start the server up, and it will load the ES and the NQ. It'll load every file that we just put into here. Okay. Actually, more specifically, it'll load what this config file tells it to load. And on your initial installation, this file tells it to load everything. If you don't want to load everything because you're only trading the NQ or you're only trading the ES, then there's a different tutorial video on how to modify that file to only load what you want to. Okay, so just look for that. At this point, though, the server is ready to go, and we're going to switch to installing the chart books. So let's delete this models.zip file. We no longer need that. And now we're going to move on to installing the chart books. All right, so now we're going to install the chart books. Let's close the machine learning window here. We don't need this for the moment. And we will expand this zip file. And what we're going to get is 2 files per market. All right, there is a .cht file, which is the chart book itself. And then there's this .scss file. That's the spreadsheet study that actually manages the automated trading. All right, we can delete the chartbooks.zip file now. We don't need that anymore. And now what we have to do is we have to go put these in the location that the Sierra Chart software is looking for, chart books. All right, and so that can be a little confusing sometimes. It's a little different than normal. What you want to do is just open up a different window here, and it's easiest to go to the root, which is, and it's usually called C:. Okay, so let's just open a new window here. I'm using Windows 7, so your operating system might be organized differently on how to navigate. But in C:, you're looking for Sierra Chart. Okay, and you're going to double click that. And then inside here, if you're using like Infinity Futures or some other broker to get your Sierra Chart, there'll be a directory like this. Just double click through that. And now we're getting to where we need to be, which is the data directory. So double click the data directory, and this is the directory where we want to put these files. Okay, so let's just drag them over there, all 4 of them. Again, there'll be 2 per market, so if you're watching this later in time, maybe there may be additional markets. And since I already have them there, it's asking me if I want to just replace what I have, and I do. So You probably won't get that on your initial installation. And that's it. Now the Chartbooks are installed, and we're actually ready to start testing to see are all the pieces in place like they need to be, and are we ready to go? All right, so let's go do that. All right, so to test everything, let's just clear the desktop so it looks like this, just as if you started up your computer. And you want to go to your machine learning folder that you created earlier and where you installed everything. And you're going to just double click this executable, the TRT ML server, all right, 0316. That 0316 is a date code to help us understand what version of the server you are running. All right, we'll double click that. This little window is going to come up, and you're going to see a lot of text scroll across. It'll take about probably 60 seconds or more to completely start up. All right, so while it's doing that, let me move this over here and just talk about a few things here. This will create two files, an errors.log file and an info.log file. Those are useful for when things go wrong. Otherwise, you just don't need them. Just don't worry about them. There is a different tutorial on what to do if my server doesn't start correctly, or what to do if I'm having a problem. So look for that. If the server doesn't start up. We'll see it start up here in just a moment. You'll see what it looks like when it's running correctly. All right, and then if it fails for some reason, watch that other tutorial for information on what to do. The typical failures are the model file's not there, or you made a mistake in the configuration file when you edited it for some reason, or it'll be something like that. The rest of it works pretty good. And there it started, okay? So what you're looking for is this exact statement, starting server on port 8080. Now this window will just stay up while you trade. You can put it anywhere you want. You can minimize it. It doesn't matter. I like to look at it because it's going to print a lot of data as it's doing its work, and so it's kind of reassuring to see, okay, yeah, it is communicating to the server, but the reality is at this point you can just minimize it and you are ready to go. All right, let's look now at the Chartbook itself. So let's make sure that's installed correctly. To do that, you need to launch Sierra Chart. Now I already have it launched here, so you would log in however you would normally log in. All right, and the very first thing you do before you do anything else with the machine learning system, the number one most important thing to do is go to the trade menu, and there is a menu item here, right here, disable auto trading on startup. Okay, you want to make sure there is a check mark there. It's very important. What it means is when I start up Sierra Chart, it will not automatically start trading. Okay, this is what you want. You don't want you do not want it to start automatically. You want to specifically tell it, okay, I'm ready for you to automatically trade for me. Okay. Many times you are starting up the Sierra Chart to look at charts, to do analysis, to do other things, or whatever. All right, you do not want it to start automatically. And in fact, there are many checks and balances to make sure that you don't accidentally start trading. So there's a video called Getting Started or something like that in this tutorial series that talks about, okay, I'm ready to trade today. What do I do? All right, so go watch that. Make sure this is checked. You do not want to automatically start trading. All right, so with that in mind, with that dire warning out of the way, let's go look at our chart books and make sure they're there. So the name is TRT for the rational trader, and then the symbol NQ. ML is machine learning. ML predict means it's the automated trading system. Okay, PST means it's my time zone. Okay, Pacific Standard Time. And then 0318 is a date code again, March 8 of 2018. These will update periodically, and so that's why that date code is useful. Let's open up the NQ. Okay. And just very quickly, let's make sure everything's here, and then we'll be done with our installation because that loaded just fine. What you see is a a chart, it looks very sparse and bare compared to what you're looking at as a human. That's because the machine's doing all the work. All right, so I would encourage you not to mess with this chart book or this chart. Okay, and in fact, if we go look at the studies, what you'll see is a warning here. Do not touch the studies above this line. Don't mess with them at all. Okay, if you do want to add stuff to this chart book, do it down here below everything else. Okay, there are 2 studies here that you are going to have to interact with. So let's just chat about those real quick. The first is TRT ML Predict. This is the custom study. If it's not here, or it says something odd like custom study DLL with no name, that means you're not authorized. And send me your username, and we'll take care of that. Go into settings. There are 5 settings in here. I have another dire warning for you. This third one, subgraphs to send, you should never touch. Just leave it alone. Eventually, I will remove it completely. But right now, as we're getting started, I need to periodically change that. So it's still there. Don't touch it. If you remove something, the system simply won't work. If you replace SG20 here with something else, then you may get the wrong prediction. All right, so don't touch it. The port here, you don't need to worry about. Just leave it alone. That's telling the chart how to communicate to the machine learning server. Okay. The reversal amount is specific to the market. That is you see these zigzags in the background, these red zigzags. That is generally double the range bar height. Okay, and it needs, that relationship needs to stay intact or similar. So if you change the range bar height to say 8, like an 8-tick range bar, you would want to change this value to 16. All right, but out of the box here, using a 10-tick range bar chart, that number is 20. The other thing that you're going to want to use, that you will be interacting with, is this time ranges. So time ranges is when will I actually auto trade. Okay, so the way this works is the system, as soon as you start up, the system starts sending data to the server. The server will start collecting that data. Once it has enough data, it'll start making predictions. When it makes a prediction, it sends it back here. And then if it's inside of the time range listed, it'll actually auto trade. It'll tell the spreadsheet study, here's an action, should you do, and then the spreadsheet study will decide if it should place that trade or not. Okay. You can get pretty sophisticated with this. This currently says for me in the Pacific time zone, 6:35 to 9 o'clock. Okay, so the first two and a half hours, but wait 5 minutes to start until after the session starts. You will need to change this for your time zone. Okay, the time here needs to match whatever is in the chart. So if your chart is showing that whatever, you're in Central Time Zone and the market's open at 8:30, then you're going to need to change this to 8:35 or whenever you want to start. Okay, you don't want to leave it at 6:35. That would start 2 hours too soon. Okay, so change this for your time zone. The other thing to understand is that you can put blocks of time in here. So something that I like to do, and actually a lot of people do, is they don't want to trade during news. So that it's perfectly reasonable and supported to come in here and go, I know there's news at 7 o'clock, so I want to stop 5 minutes before then. So you would go 6:35 to 6:55, okay? And then if you put a comma, now you can put another time range in. So now it'll be, I want to start up again at, say, 7:05. And I want to go through 9 o'clock now. Okay. All right. So that's what that says right there. Trade from 6:35 to 6:55, stop, and then start again at 7:05 to 9 o'clock. All right. You'll notice that the format of that time is hour, minute, second, divided by colons. Okay. All right. The other study that you will interact with is the spreadsheet study. There is one key thing in here. For the most part, you shouldn't touch anything in here, but there's 2 cases where you're going to need to do something. Send orders to trade service is defaulted to no, which means it won't send it out to the broker. You have to set that to yes. Okay, so watch the getting started tutorial, and we discuss all the different cases of running live, running simulated, running simulate the live with your broker, all of that. But this has to be set to yes if you actually want to send orders out to be automatically executed by your broker. Okay, I have it defaulted to no on installation on purpose so you don't accidentally start trading. Okay, there are 2 other settings down here you're gonna come back to. One is if you want to hear an alert sound when it places an order. All right, there's a different tutorial for that. Go watch that, and you'll end up doing that. Otherwise, you're pretty much just going to be turning send orders to trade service off and on, all right, as you need it. On the left here is the order type that will be placed. All right, this has really nothing to do with me at the Rational Trader. This is just all Sierra Chart functionality now. It's currently set to place an order with a stop and a target, and then trail in a certain way. And you can actually see that on the daily videos how that's working. You can change that to anything you like. It's completely up to you. I highly recommend that you simulate it or replay it before you actually implement something like that, a change like that in live. And what will happen is, as you get more familiar with the system, as you get more familiar with Sierra Chart, you'll want to change the way that the order gets placed, or the way that the system will trail for you. Okay. And with that, you're installed and ready to go. Go watch the getting started tutorial to see how to actually start up and start working with the system.